Who do I want to be? I think that question starts with what I want to do. And honestly, what I want to do, what I've always kind of really had an inclination towards is business. And honestly, out of anything, I'm a lazy person. So why not use the modicum of intelligence I have to make it easier to do the things I want to do? So I suppose I'm a lazy person to me because I could be doing a lot more, but possibly to other people, it may seem like I'm doing a lot, but only because I had to. I had to do a lot. I had to fail a lot first before I got to this kind of point, and I'm still failing. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to. So what I want to do is business, and I've always wanted to do this. I want to run something of my own volition. I want my time to be for me and not controlled by any sort of commitment that is making me obligated because of what someone else has said to me, or the fact that they have that authority. I don't want that for my life. I want to be a little bit freer than that. So really who I want to be is someone that has freedom, has the ability to do what I want when I want to. But obviously I think an important thing about that is who you are. So the things I want to do aren't things that are destructive for me, because a lot of people, they get money and they start to self-destruct a little bit because the things they want to do are destructive, and the money kind of amplifies that, like the things that they get, like money isn't good or bad, it's a tool. So really, I just want to be someone that makes money. Like I want to be someone that can use tools well, use my resources in the way that I want them to better my life and the people around me. And I think that's also why I'm starting content as well, because I'm not just thinking about me, although this does help me be a bit more content, I suppose, because it allows me to explore different aspects of my life in a fun way, because I like talking. But no, I think the thing I'm focusing on a lot with this content thing is that the things I talk about and the different things I'm going to talk about one day could help someone close to me, for example, a son, or like a daughter, the things, seeing the progression from where I am now to where I'm going to be is the most important thing to me, because for a long time I've kind of just made progress but forgotten a lot about it. And when you forget about your progress, it's hard to appreciate what you've done, and it's also hard to have the motivation to keep going. Because if you're forgetting what you've done, you feel like right now, if you're not doing anything, well, I don't remember doing much in the past. How am I going to do this in the future? How, like, you feel a little bit like an imposter when you don't appreciate the things you've done to get to the good places that you've got to in your life. You feel like imposter syndrome is a very common thing, but it's a little bit like that. But reminding yourself of who you are is more how I want to put it, because I've done a lot of research, I've tried a lot of different businesses, I've failed a lot, and for some reason, because they were emotional failures, because I thought so much I'd achieved that, the fact that they failed made me think that, oh well, anything I do is gonna fail. But the truth is, that's 100% true. Anything you do could fail. As certain as it seems, anything you do could fail. So who I want to be is someone that never gives up, regardless of the circumstance, because I don't believe in failure as such as that when you fail you're done and that you should just move on. Like, yes, that's true, like if you fail at something you should move on, but not so as complete as that, because a lot of people fail before they've even tried to expand more into what they're doing. You know what I mean? They fail in, like, for example, a certain industry. In product selling would be a good example. You could fail in selling a product within a certain industry, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're bad at selling. Could be you're bad at product research. It could be that you're not even bad at anything, but that product is just not selling. And you don't have to take it personally. The important thing to ask yourself is, what is missing? What can you do to change that? And is change necessary? And if so, what change is necessary. Do you need to change the whole industry itself, or do you need to change a couple things you're doing within it? You know? But I just want to make a life for myself that I can be proud of, that's not of anyone else's efforts. And I want to add value to the lives of people that I care about and I believe in, because I know how it feels to not be believed in by yourself and by others. And I know how it feels to literally not think of yourself as doing anything good. That everything you do isn't enough, or it's not good. It's just like you're doing it with no meaning. But at a certain point, you need to decide for yourself what it is that you're going to give meaning to, you know? And I want to give meaning to the people's lives that I care most about, and I want to give meaning to my life. And because this is who I am, money is an amplifier of that. If I was a bad person, then money would be an amplifier of that. It would allow me to do more bad things easily. But the things I want to do they're not necessarily noble, but I believe them to be beneficial. You know, like they are improving like my life and other people's lives around me. Even doing content. You know, I just honestly, who I am can be summed up into kind of one word, which is change. And I suppose what I mean by that is that improvement requires change, adaptability. You know, like trying to do anything and really understanding yourself is understanding that there is no solid thing ever. Nothing is certain, nothing is staying the same. So you have to embody the aspect of change and being dynamic. Because if you can't handle yourself in a bunch of different situations, in a bunch of different places, and a bunch of different mental states, yeah, then really you're kind of just suffering through life and waiting for things to fix you rather than taking action yourself and fixing what is wrong or what you believe to be wrong. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, I've tried that so much. I've tried to fix a lot of the things I believe to be wrong with me. And at the end of the day, it's not the things that like I was doing that necessarily made me like happy. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those things that made me who I am today, I don't do anymore. So like being not afraid of the aspect of change is the best thing you can do for improvement. Because if you are afraid of change, then you're not going to go anywhere. You know, you can improve your life as much as you want, but if you're afraid to change it in any sort of way, you're only going to be able to reach so high. You're going to reach a ceiling, you know, because you're saying that, for example, I'm stuck in this place, I can only like work like this job. Like you're only limiting yourself based on what you've decided for yourself. So in the same way that you give meaning to the things you do in your life, you're the one giving power to the things that are holding you back. Because realistically, if you wanted it that bad, if you wanted to improve so much, you would stop at nothing to at least consistently aim to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm no guru, I'm nothing special. I'm just saying that at a certain point of failing with consistency so much, and like just failing in general, being consistent is one of the hardest things I've had to do. But once you're there, it's not actually as hard as it seems. You know, I can't think of a better way to explain that, but consistency is so important. Even if it's consistency in just the idea that you want to do it or you want to achieve it, you know, because consistency can sometimes come from obsession a little bit. You know, like if you're constantly thinking about this, like, oh, I want to improve this, I want to improve that, you know, like that's where the consistency comes from. Because if you're thinking about that a lot, but you're not doing anything, if it is actually who you are, you will feel something wrong inside you. You know what I mean? Like if you want to be consistent and you're thinking about consistency and you're thinking about improvement, but you're not doing any of it, yeah, you are gonna feel guilty. You're gonna feel bad. But you are supposed to hit complete rock bottom before you rise. You know, like the fall comes before the something like that. You know what I mean? but you fall before you rise, so you can get even higher. And the thing is about hitting rock bottom before you start like trying to achieve something great, it's kind of like the exact catalyst you need, because if anything, feeling that bad is a perspective shift. Like from that point, you realize that if you can do something to change having that feeling, why wouldn't you do that? You know? And for me, hitting rock bottom is a kind of, you will hit rock bottom multiple times in your life, but it's all about how you come back from that. If you believe rock bottom to be the best you deserve and the only thing you're going to get from who you are, then you will keep hitting it even more and you will stay there. But keeping in mind that you want something larger for yourself, even if you're not doing anything yet, you will get there eventually if that is actually who you say you are. You know, if you're not actually just bullshitting, if it's not just another thing to say, you know, it's actually something you believe. So, aside from the whole tangent of what I just spoke about, who I want to be is someone that can change in any situation, whatever's needed of me. And even if that means I'm going to fail first and then realize I need to like change or realize I need to improve, because a lot of people see and hear the word change and they instantly connote it with bad. Something bad is going to happen. But honestly, on the other side of change, you never know what is going to happen. Could be bad, could be good, but realistically, it's not helpful to think about it like that. Change is necessary, regardless of how you feel about it, and that is just how you improve. And obviously that's not the only thing you need to improve, you know, but like you need to. Change isn't the only way to improve, because obviously consistency isn't change, you know what I mean? But I more mean that if you're not doing anything about the things in your life that are keeping you down or making you feel like shit, yeah, if you're not doing anything or at least thinking about doing something about it, then you never will. Especially if you're not open to the idea of change, you know, the idea that your whole identity one day could be completely different, and you can choose that. You can wake up and say, for example, you can go your whole life smoking, and then you can wake up one day and be like, I'm not a smoker. Like, the power you give to your own words is the most important thing, because that actually changes your entire life. Because before I got to this point, or where I am today, I spent years shaming myself for the things I'm not good at, and feeling bad, and feeling like I'm not enough, and feeling like I'm never gonna get there. But I needed that to show me how bad life can be, but also how good life can be, and that both of those existences are who I am. You know what I mean? What it really does, bad and good moments, it shows you your capacity. What can you, and what are you able to achieve for yourself, you know? And I'm only saying this from my own perspective, of course, because for me, for a long time, I was here. You know, I was limiting myself based on the things I thought about myself and the world and the way I was speaking to myself. And now I'm getting much closer to here, because I'm not dealing with anything unreasonable anymore. I'm not irrationally thinking about things, you know, and it takes a long time to gain that understanding. One of the most important things in me understanding things the way I do now is books. Because books are a perfect example of how, books and philosophy are a perfect example of change, because, or at least the idea of a dynamic world, and the fact that that is natural, and it's you feeling uncomfortable about change is natural, because it can sometimes mean that that is the catalyst for something good to come, you know? But either way, to answer this question shortly and to sum it up, I want to be someone who can change whenever needed, for whatever way I want my life to be. I don't want to be set in my beliefs. I want to be a good person, and that just means being open to the idea that things can be different, you know? Because sometimes things need to be different even if you think they're right for you, you know? But a lot of the time it's very hard to see that. So I want to be someone who's aware, I want to be someone who's capable, and I want to be someone who adds value to the lives of myself and other people. That's it.